G'day, Jamie. How you doing, mate?
Not too bad, buddy. How about yourself?
Better now. Hey,
There
buddy.
we go.
Doing okay?
Yeah, good, mate.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's the way. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
Thanks for having me
Yeah,
on the. Thanks for having me on the show.
no, appreciate it, mate. Appreciate you coming on.
You
Yeah,
bet.
Ashton Sims, thanks for joining me on NRL Fans WA.
Thanks very much, Jamie. Very happy to be here and happy to go through a little bit of a snapshot of my life, my career. But thanks very much for spreading the good word there over in WA, mate. You're doing a really good job. I've had a look at some of the podcasts that you've done before and some people that you've had on. So looking forward to today.
I appreciate that, mate. That's awesome. Means a lot to me to have that sort of recognition. No, thank you. We'll jump into your career, mate. You played over 360 first grade games. Started off at St George, had a bit of a go at Brisbane, Cowboys, Warrington in the Super League, and Toronto in the Super League as well.
Yep.
But you also get to represent Fiji. Even go to the World Cups, a couple of World Cups for them, captain them in one of the World Cups as well. So, you've had a hell of a career, mate. With your career, is there anything that sort of you take out of your career that's made you into the man that you are today?
Oh, look, there's a lot of things, Jamie. It's look, first of all, I'm very glad to have a good set of parents. My mother and my father were my role models growing up, and they still are today. They taught me the value of hard work, dedication, communication, grit, resilience, all rolled up into one. And what rugby league did was just back up or galvanize everything my parents taught me. And look, I'm a very meat and three veg kind of guy. I lead a really simple life. I like it like that. But some things that I still in my kids were some things that my parents instilled in me was, manners go everywhere with you. Please and thank you. Two things that are for free that can take you a lot of places. Respect everyone, fear no one. Things that, that are transferable into any aspect of life, not just rugby league. So I'm very lucky to have good parents, but also been at some really good clubs as well. Like you mentioned, those clubs that I've been at, I've learned a lot along the way. And, I don't think anyone's born an NRL player or born a sportsman. I think, you get the tools, you get the natural ability, but you've got to you've got to not chip away, but you've got to pick up things along the way. But I'm a big believer in having the old school values with the new school rules. I think that, those old school values of what I just mentioned there before, they're transferable again into any walk of life, whether you're a carpenter, whether you're a plumber, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a barrister or a rugby league player. Having good core values, good core beliefs it really is the cornerstone of a good life and enjoying life and thriving, not just surviving.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. That's beautiful. And you sort of answered my next question, which was your role models. But it's great that you're instilling that same stuff that your mum and dad taught you into your kids as well. You put, like you said, the please and thank yous go a long way. It doesn't matter, like you said, what you do in life. You take that into your rugby league career, and rugby league career, I guess, just fine tunes what your parents already taught you.
Absolutely. And what I'll say there too, Jamie, sorry to butt in, but what I'll say there too is, to be a rugby league player doesn't just mean you're a good player on a Saturday or a Sunday or a Saturday night or a Friday night. It means you live your values from Monday to Friday. And the byproduct of living your values is what happens on game day. So again, I'm not trying to sound philosophical here, but again, that's just a byproduct of living, your life the right way. Instilling good values in yourself and also the people around you. It's like the old saying, you're the average of the 5 closest people you hang around. So, to any listeners out there, have a sit down and think about, who are the 5 closest people you hang around? Are they people that lift you up? Are they people that are full of optimism? Are they people that want to see you do well and want to do well themselves? Or, are they that pessimistic, glass half empty kind of person? Because unfortunately, that attitude sometimes will rub off on you. So, looking after yourself on a holistic approach.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah. I couldn't have said it any better myself, mate. And coming from you, the people that do watch this, that will hold a lot to these young kids that watch it, and anyone else. So great words there, buddy. When you're playing, mate, you make your debut in 03. You make your debut against the Penrith Panthers for St George. Can you tell us, like, leading up to the game, whether you got found out last minute or picked early on in the week, and how your emotions going through the week?
Oh, man, it was crazy, Jamie. It's so Nathan Brown was my coach at the time, and still a good friend now. We're over at Cogra, and there used to be a restaurant called Sizzler across the road, and I don't know if everyone remembers Sizzler, but Sizzler was an all-you-can-eat, and that's where we used to load up after training just before we drove back down to Wollongong. So a lot of us lived in Wollongong there, and I knew I was playing all right, and I was training well, and my time had come. And my time had come, whether it's not that year, certainly the year after. And I was an 18-year-old there, just still wet behind the ears, still trying to learn off people like Jason Riles, Sean Timmins, Trent Barrett, Chris Leichfold, John Cross, Brent Kite, Mark Gasnier. I could go on for everyone, Luke Bailey. And I had these really good people around me, mate. Again, I allude back to it. And anyway, sitting there, stuffing my face full of cheesy toast. Nathan Brown come over with the old Nokia phones, and he just chucked it on the table in front of the plate and said, ring your parents. You're going to be making debut this weekend. And look,
wow.
Again, mate, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I remember just, getting a little bit choked up now about it, because what that was, mate, that was a culmination of all the hard work, the dedication, the time away from family, time away from friends. When my mates are going out partying on a Friday night, I knew there was I was serving a better purpose by staying home, looking after myself and getting ready for the game the next day. And look, again, I'm not here to embarrass my parents, but, we come from very humble beginnings.
Yeah.
I know there was plenty of times growing up where, I'd come home, there's no food on the table. I'd come home from a freezing cold winter footy training session, and my parents, my mum telling me to ride down to the beach, in the dark and wash myself off because there was no hot water, no running water at times, no TV at times. And look, I don't say that again. I don't say it to embarrass them, but it made me appreciate what I do have, what I did have. I had really good friends around me. And I also had Metallica in my ears. So that was always pretty cool, man. It's always a band that I refer back to, and through good times and bad times. But yeah, look, getting that phone call, getting that nod, having the coach of St George Illawarra entrusting a young 18-year-old front rower to do the badge proud, to wear it with honour, wear it with pride. That filled me with a lot of confidence to go out there and execute my roles.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, you sort of, ringing your parents would have been sort of like repaying all the dedication they put into taking you guys to training. Especially yourself, Ruan played, your sister played before you, but the women's game wasn't as big back then.
Yep.
But, you were the one that made your debut before your younger brothers, Corbin and Tarek. And the hard work that they've put into, your parents put into you, taking you to training, all that sort of stuff, and the unfortunate circumstances with what you were saying, with the hot water and the food and all that sort of stuff, it made you appreciate that more. But, I guess that phone call to your parents, mate, would have been, so emotional for you, like you're saying, you just got choked up talking about it, but, being able to get to that, first grade level and show your parents that, hey, I've made it.
It really was a blowout, mate, because it started off with playing rugby league against my sister and my brothers out the back, to literally, pulling on the pride of St George Illawarra Dragons jersey, something that I'll always cherish. It was our hometown team. We're from Gerringong, St George Illawarra covers that region, and look, it was something special. Like, I also come from a town where guys like Rod Wishart, Mick Cronin, Paul Quinn, and nowadays, Ruben Garrick, Mitch Rain, and the two brothers, Tarek and Corbin, Jackson Ford as well at the Dragons, all come from this really rich rugby league town. And I was very proud to be the first since Rod Wishart to debut in the NRL, and there's been a long line since. And It's I don't do it as an ego thing, but it's always nice to visit Michael Cronin Oval down here at Gerringong and see a couple of pictures on the wall of not just me playing NRL, but also me winning some under 14As premierships and under 13Bs premierships. And I'm not embarrassed to say it, but I won an under 11Cs premiership there one year, say in the C grade, in the third grade. So or again, it was all great great memories, but it all sort of helped mold and galvanize the person who I am today, who I was as a player. And look, I can honestly say, and I hopefully, people will say it too, I never took anything for granted. Look, I never think of myself above anyone else. At the end of the day, I've got 2 arms, 2 legs, and a heartbeat, just the same as a lot of, the majority of people I've met and everyone I've played against. And just because I was able to play for a long time doesn't make me better than anyone. I'm still that humble guy that comes from Gerringong. I'm still that guy that, played cricket in the summer, footy in the winter, and surfed all year round. And, till the day I die, I don't think I'll stop doing that. Obviously, maybe listening to Metallica and eating too many boiled eggs is one of my vices.
That's the way. That's the way, mate. You only get to play 81 games for the Dragons. To 2007, and then you go to Brisbane. Obviously being from the local area of St George, and did you want to stay at St George, and just circumstances changed? Why you had to go to Brisbane?
Yeah, look, it was one of those ones where it was a mutual. I still had a year left. Nathan Brown called me in his office, and to his credit, he was very upfront and honest with me, and said, "Look, if there's an opportunity elsewhere, I think you should explore it." And at first, I was cut. Yeah, it was cut deep because it was, I thought I'd play for St George for 10 years and retire down here. And but in another way, I used it as motivation. I used it as, okay, life's throwing me a curveball. What do I do? Do I lay on my side in the fetal position and quiver, or do I use it as motivation and go for it? And that's what I knew I needed to do. I needed to get out of sort of the Sydney Illawarra area, and I wanted to test myself with the best, and that's what I did. Wayne Bennett called me and asked me to come up for a meeting at the Broncos, and I did so. Flew up there with my manager and my really good friend Steve Chimes Gillis. They did a really impressive job up there, and I loved my time at the Brisbane Broncos. I think they're one of the most professional clubs in all of the NRL, probably the benchmark when it comes to professionalism. And I know they've had a couple of lean years there, but they're not going to be down there for long. With the high performance centre they've got there, and just the rich history that they've got. I think I accidentally bumped in on you yesterday, just clicking on your Zoom, and I think I saw one of the Walters boys there. And I think it was young Kerrod. Yeah, I thought it was Kerrod. And, he was a really good guy to me up there, especially those old boys functions, always honouring the past and looking forward to the future. And that's where, the Broncos, they do it really well. Of all the NRL clubs, look, all the NRL clubs I've played with have been absolutely tremendous, mate. Like the Dragons, they're always up the top there when it comes to professionalism. The Broncos are probably the benchmark, and the Cowboys, they're probably the best in the communities, building the brand, building the game, getting it out there. They're not called the Townsville Cowboys. They're called the North Queensland Cowboys for a reason. And they hit all the areas, all the vast areas, even right up to the Northern Territory border. I know we're probably going to talk about the Cowboys in a little bit, so I don't want to go too far ahead of myself. But, the move up to Brisbane, I knew I had to get out of my comfort zone, because you're never going to grow living inside your comfort zone. Sometimes you've got to get out and about. You've got to test yourself in some pretty murky waters, and that's exactly what I did. I went up to the Broncos and, tried to give it hell.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you had a hell of a career, altogether, mate. We are going to talk a little bit about the Cowboys, but going from St George to Brisbane would have been, like you said, getting out of your comfort zone. Being a New South Walesman, going up to Brisbane. Going to the Brisbane, which is the basically one team town. Mate, it would have been a bit of pressure coming on you too, but
yeah, absolutely. Well, that year they got rid of Petro Sivanasiva and a couple of them, Sean Berrigan, and that not got rid of those guys moved on, and it was guys like myself, Peter Wallace, Tom Hewitt, Joel Clinton, that all come up there. So we had massive shoes to fill, and you're never going to fill those shoes. They're absolute legends of the game. But we certainly, we had some really good upcoming young players, guys like a young Greg Eastwood and a young Dave Taylor, and Carmichael Hunt was really making a mark. But we still had Justin Hodges, Sammy Thaiday. We still had Tony Carroll, and as soon as you run on with this next guy, Darren Lockyer. It doesn't matter if you're going out there, running out there with a reserve grade or Queensland Cup or Ipswich Jets or whatever team. If Darren Lockyer is running out with you, you're a hot chance of winning. So, look, again, had some great times up there, but also had some of the lowlights, especially on the field. I think you might be alluding to it in a little bit, but 2008 semi-final, dropping the ball against Melbourne Storm, and Melbourne Storm scoring in the corner. To beat us in the semi-final, major semi-final. And look, I'm not going to say that if it wasn't for me, we would have won it. But look, I take full responsibility, full accountability for that. A lot of people have said since said to me, look, but what about this and that happening in the game? But no, look, at the end of the day, when you're carrying the ball, you're carrying the hopes and dreams of your team. And that's not just in semi-finals, that's in grade footy, that's in round footy as well. So, again, man, that was just another speed bump in my journey. And again, it was one of those ones you got to go through what you grow through what you go through. Sorry. And I certainly grew after that. And it was a humbling experience. It was a tough lesson at the start, but I had some really good people around me. I had really good players around me to help me through, what was the toughest period of my footy career at the time.
Yeah, definitely. So it definitely would have been, absolute, heart-sinking moment for yourself. But, I guess you could sort of rest assured that there was another Bronco a few years later that made an even worse one. So, unfortunate for him.
I don't know if it's taken too much shine off mine. I still get a comment every now and then on Twitter of the biggest balls up moment in sports, and someone always tags me in, which I'm cool with it, man. That's Yep,
that's part of learning, isn't it, mate?
It is, man. Yeah, it's part of being in the public eye as a sportsman. You've got to you can take the accolades, but you've also got to cop the criticism, and it's how players, sportsmen, how they take it as well. I know I've got I've probably said too many sayings already, but I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take cop criticisms of someone I'm not going to take advice off. Meaning, old Jimmy can be on his couch eating potato chips, having a couple of beers, and tweeting a bit of shit about me, or having a go at me online. But I don't know what Jim's gone through. I don't know what he's going through. He might not have even laced a footy boot up, but he feels he's got the obligation to have a go at me. Well, go for your life. That's all right. But I'm not going to take any footy advice from you, so I'm not going to take the criticism off you either.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's I think young people coming up in professional sports these days, not just NRL, AFL, soccer, athletics, all that sort of stuff. I think they could take that advice a long way, mate. So that's a big thing because and
again, Jamie, mate, I don't know. Sorry to cut him, mate. I don't know everything. I really don't. But look, that's just what's worked for me, and what works for me might not be the same as what works for someone else. But it's about trying different things, isn't it? So you don't just get bogged down. And social media has got some great aspects to it. It really does, especially for around work and connecting with friends. But it's also got that seedy underbelly that you've really got to manage, and especially our kids need to manage that as well. Yeah,
definitely, absolutely, mate. You go up to the North Queensland Cowboys after Broncos, mate. You end up being up there. Your brother Tarek gets up there. He's up there as well. How did you find, playing? Obviously, you played with him, in the backyard and all that sort of stuff. You being the older brother, you probably wouldn't have played much footy with him as a junior, but getting up to play first grade with your brother up with the Cowboys, how was that for you as a family and yourself personally?
Yeah, look, it's something to play with your mates or your best mates, but it's a different concept when you're playing with your blood, playing with your brother. And look, that was a special moment for me as well, being able to play in his debut match. Again, the culmination of a lot of sacrifice, dedication, grit determination to get there. Taz, he was always a good player, but probably developed really late. And look, he just, mate, once he got an opportunity, got a chance. He took it with both hands, and I love seeing him going, playing still at the moment, still playing some really good footy, playing Origin and what have you. And look, but that game was just, it was a really special moment for our family. Again, like just that backyard dream coming to fruition on the biggest stage in rugby league.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, it would have been an absolute hell of a time for your family, mate. I mean, I couldn't imagine. Did you get to play with Corbin at first grade level?
So I got to play with Corbs and Tariq. All three of us played together in the 2013 World Cup.
Oh, yeah.
So that's if I got to think of the top five or even the top three things that have happened to me in my footy career, probably even the top thing was get to pull on a jersey with my two brothers, on the Rugby League World Cup on a big stage. It really, really incredible moment that I know. But my family are really honoured with. They've still got the picture of the three of us up in the house, blown up, and it's it's certainly it holds a really, really important place in my heart, and I'm sure those other two's hearts as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. That would have been a hell of a story for your family. And for me personally, like, congratulations on that, having that you three playing in the same team and representing Fiji at the same time as well. So,
thank you.
Speaking of Fiji, you get to play 12 games for them. Was it your mother's side of the family is Fiji?
Yeah. So my mother was born in Bar, about 2 hours north of Nandi, where you fly into Fiji. So,
yeah, cool.
Yeah. So she moved over to Australia when she was 9, I think, and moved over to the mighty Mount Druitt over here in Penrith. It's the old Druitt. There's a few boys from there. I think Jerome Luai and Bizza, Brian Tyler from there. And it was just they say come over and so that's how we are able to represent our Fijian heritage.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. My old man and my mum come from the Blacktown, Mount Druitt area. So
do they? Oh, so you know it well. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
You get to go to a couple of World Cups for Fiji. You get to, was it 2008? You qualified for the semi-final.
Yeah.
In the World Cup. And then in 2014, you get to captain Fiji. How are those two moments for you personally? Like, getting to the semi-final and then captaining.
Oh, mate, it was crazy. So, playing in 3 World Cups and getting to the semi-final in all 3 World Cups was. It was special, but it was, we just come up against a really red-hot Australian side in every single one, like the 08 one. I won't go through all the team, but you had, the Petros, and you had Billy Slater, Cam Smith. Well, Cam Smith, he's going to be a mainstay in all 3 World Cups. And then the 2013 was probably the best side I've ever played against in rugby league. That's where we're talking, the Inglisses, we're talking JT, Cooper Cronk, Gallen, Fafita when he was in his prime, Boydie Cordner, I think was in there. Like, they were just, like Lukey Lewis, they were just it was just a team I've never seen, never come up against before or since. And then the 2017 World Cup, we come up against them in the semi-finals as well, and they beat us pretty humbling in all 3. But look, I'm so proud to play for Fiji, but I'm also proud for the game of rugby league in Fiji. There's an old saying in Fiji, the tiny island with a ton of heart. And, they always got a smile on their face. It's always, doing the Nongul Masu, the prayer, the mass, the hymn before we go out and play. It's a really special moment, and special to share that moment with people that rugby league means so much. It's not just a sport over in Fiji. It really is a religion, like the rugby union. Well, the rugby sevens is a religion over there, but rugby league's really getting a good foothold in the islands. And you talk about your Sammy Radrandra's, your Marika Korobetis, all these Vunivalus. Those kids, they're over there in the islands now. They're starting their rugby league journey, and I know the NRL are doing some really good things in recruitment over there in Fiji, and hopefully that really continues, that prospers, and I look forward to one day helping out with that project or those initiatives, programs as well.
Yeah, I mean, with that, you're talking about the Fiji and what they've got coming. The players that you just mentioned. I think Fiji will get to the spot where Tonga is very soon. Guys like yourself and your brothers, having that heritage. I mean, you could have played for Australia, nominated to play for Australia or Fiji, and he's nominated to play for Fiji. And you've got the guys like, for example, Tamalolo did the same thing with Tonga for FIDA.
Yep.
The Fijian team, needs guys like yourselves to do that. And then I reckon it would light a fire in these young kids saying, hey, hang on, these guys, have got heritage here. They've made it. We can too. And I think, be the Fijian team in next maybe 10 years or so. It's not going to happen overnight, but I reckon they'll be up there where Tonga is now.
Yeah, and they'll continue to go from strength to strength, and that's what you want. Did people want it just being New Zealand, England, and Australia every single time? No, because there's no sustainability to that. But if you can get some of these Melanesian islands, if you can get some of PNG, Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, Cook Islands, if you can get them built up, then it's going to be more competitive in the World Cups, and they're going to have more World Cups, like a rugby union World Cup, where there's about 5 or 6 teams who can generally win it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's about evolving the game on a global level. How we do that, it's small steps. It's not going to happen tomorrow. We need to believe in the international game, put games on that are meaningful games, so players aspire to play in it, and then our product will build off the back of that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely, mate. Go back to your NRL career. After the Cowboys, mate, you go over to England to play for Warrington. Most people that haven't seen you play for the NRL teams would have seen you play in the Super League. With the long hair, the Thor lookalike. How did that come about? Going over to Warrington, and how was your experience over there? I mean, I know a lot of the guys I've talked to, they love going over to England.
Yeah.
To finish their career, or just an opportunity to keep playing at a professional level.
Yeah. So how it come about? Look, I was negotiating with the Cowboys through 2014 for one more year, and I was trying to get 2 more years. And look, it was a bit of to and fro in there. All good negotiations too. I've got to say, because the Cowboys, that's probably where I actually played my best footy, right at the end of my NRL career. Especially that last year, 2014 was probably my best year. I was starting in the front row with one of my good mates, Matty Scott. He's still one of my good mates now, and that was just come off chance off the back of, unfortunately, James Tamau got injured there with about 10 weeks to go, and it was a 3-week injury. I come in and was playing some of the best footy, and when Jimmy come back, I just assumed I'd go back to the bench, and Paul Green just said, "Look, I think you're playing well enough to keep up front. Keep putting the pressure on Jimmy." This was total respect, great way of doing it. And I went up to Jimmy and we talked about it. He was more than happy for me to keep going at starting. And I said, "Yeah, well, as soon as you're ready to come on, you come on." And so it was really good. Yeah, really good synergy. And I love Jimmy Tamau. I think he's doing great work there at the Tigers, and he comes from a good stock, good family. So again, we're playing, we're doing really well. Semi-final time come around, and unfortunately against the Roosters, we come from 30-0 down at half time, and just ended up losing 32-30 in the second half, and a little bit of a contentious call at the end, but you can't blame the referees. It's a bloody hard job officiating. So but yeah, look, about a week before the semi-finals, or 2 weeks before the semi-finals, sorry, I got a call from the UK, Tony Smith, Brian Smith's brother, and he was coaching Warrington, and asked if I'd come over because I was just going to take up the 1-year deal at Cowboys. Walking around, the pool, having a bit of a chat to him at the back of the house up there in Townsville. Told my wife, she wasn't real jazzed on it because I had 2 kids at the time. Oh, sorry, 3 kids at the time. And I just said, you know what, let's just go for it. You know, if a club like Warrington, who are a big club in the UK, if they don't come knocking on your door every time, and if you knock them back, they won't come knocking again. So made the decision and don't regret it one bit. I know 2015, the Cowboys ended up winning it, but I think I've got a fair bit to do with that because they got rid of a bit of dead wood there the year before in me. So, and you know what, I was the happiest person when they won that competition, and I don't say that. If people who know me know that I don't bullshit about that. You know, I was so happy because I saw all what it took to win a competition there, and you know, there was a lead up of a few years into that, and you know, it was just a fitting tribute for them to win. And I went over to the UK, man, and I can honestly say I had the time of my life. I love the UK rivalry with Australia. You know, us versus them, the England and the Aussies, the convicts and the Poms, and but some of my best friends to this day, some of the best people I've met in my life are from England, are English, and I still stay in touch with a lot of them via social media and WhatsApp. And it's just made some really good friends for life. And look, I wasn't the best footy player, or I really wasn't. I can honestly say it wasn't. I'm not this guy who's going to throw a 20-meter, 50-meter cutout ball or go for this big sweeping run. But I love the value of hard work. I love getting in there and having a go. And that's what Warrington fans appreciated about me. Always come out there, played hard, try to play fair for the most part. But I think that, you know, they respect an overseas player who comes over and has a go. And I feel that's what I did for my 3 years there at Warrington.
Yeah, definitely, mate. You know, I watched a bit of the Super League and stuff like that, and you know, because I was always a fan of like your 2 brothers. Sorry. So I love the way you guys played. So I always kept an eye on what you were doing over there, how you were going. You know, if I didn't get to watch the game, I'd watch the replay, you know, highlights and stuff like that. So, yeah, I know that, you know, you put in a lot of work over there, and you were a hell of a player over there. And the Warrington fans, I know, they loved you over there. So, you know, it takes a hell of a lot to sort of be that international guy that come over and get the fans on side. So,
yeah, no, and too, mate. You know, I was always out and about in the community, and not to big note myself in the community or anything. But look, my kids played sport. I wasn't a guy that just, you know, sent their wife to take the kids to sport and I just sit at home. But no, I was always in there. I was always asking what to do, and you know, I even helped out at the local football club, like the local soccer club, doing stuff, doing linesman. I didn't know what I was doing, but if the ball went out, I'd just put the flag up, and the people would look at me and go, "What the bloody hell is this big Aussie lad doing?" But I enjoyed it, man. I just get in. Look, and now in the role that I'm in as the operations manager of the Group 7 rugby league competition here, I understand the value of volunteers, the value of people helping out at clubs. And, you know, vicariously, I didn't know that, you know, years ago when I was helping out. I just helped out because my kids were doing it. And, but it's, that you know, volunteers, they're so important, and they're worth their weight in gold.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I know about that sort of stuff because I'm vice president of my son's rugby league club now. So, yeah, we're looking for volunteers all the time, and it's hard. You know, trying to get your parents to come out and help, but
sometimes unfortunately it's easier to drop your kid off and sit in the warm car and you know, be on your phone or whatever. But it's, you know, those kids, they need your help. You know, that club needs your help, and if you can help, and you don't have to be there from dawn till dusk, like setting up the field, putting the field away. But if you can just help with an hour or two here, or even half an hour behind the canteen or something, you know, something's better than nothing. Yeah,
absolutely. Your last 2 years of playing footy, mate, you're over in Toronto. You know, they came into the competition, into the Super League later than, you know, all the other clubs, obviously. How was that coming in with that team? How did you find them being in the Super League with the, I guess, the English fans and the Canadians? You know, the Canadians not knowing so much about rugby league as well.
Yeah, look, it really was a brilliant experience. It was a real eye opener for me coming in and seeing, playing rugby league in North America, on a plastic pitch, on a 4G pitch. It was like playing on a cricket pitch, and it was hard, it was fast. We had a really good team, and the Canadians really embraced us. Look, the English didn't, a lot of English fans didn't embrace us, which, look, I understand that, because they thought that Toronto were trying to come in and take over and get all these players, but that wasn't the goal. That wasn't our mission. Our mission was, to get rugby league on a whole different set of eyeballs on the North American market. Look, it was a little bit of, it was hard to hear and see the pessimism towards Toronto by, not all English fans. So I'm not going to say that, but you played some away games over, over in Yorkshire or even in Lancashire there, and you hear the sneers, you hear the boos, and but look, we were on a mission. We wanted to grow the game of rugby league, because if it's just going to be played in, up in the UK, in England and France, and just Australia and New Zealand, we're not going to grow on a global scale. Look, again, I had really 2 really good years there. We played some good footy. We got promoted up to the Super League, which was great. My last game, and it was just unfortunate how it all went with COVID and no international flying, because the club was in a really good place. Had Sonny Bill Williams over there ready to take it, moving forward in the Super League competition, and they just never got a chance to play any home games over there. So the last few games that we had in Canada, so for the semi-finals, we had 10,000 people there, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I'll put it into context in a little bit. And for the majors, for the quarterfinal, 10,000, major semi-final 11, and the grand final, or the promotion match, we had 13,000 Canadians there. Half of them didn't really know what they were watching, but the one thing with Canada, and especially Torontonians in Toronto, mate, they just back sport. They love their sport. You had a beer garden in there that was pretty, there was a fair few oiled up ladies and gentlemen there by the end of the day, especially in boiling hot heat. But 13,000 people there, the writing was on the wall that it could be a real success. And, some unfortunate external factors stopped that. I never give in to, holding out the notion that they might come back one day, because I think that North American market is a market that really needs to be explored. And I know there's some people over there doing some really good work in the background with the North American Rugby League and the combined Canadian Rugby League championships. So look, there's definitely some type of future there. It's just a little bit murky at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd love to see, the Americans, the Canadians and the Yanks get into rugby league. Once they embrace it, I think, they will become a powerhouse, but it's just trying to get them to embrace it. That's the hard thing.
Some of the world's best natural athletes are over there too, mate. Some of these kids that I don't call them kids, like young men and women that come out of college, that are running, 100-meter dashes in around 10 seconds, maybe even less, maybe a little bit more, but, weighing 100 kilos, 95 kilos, the absolute perfect build for the game of rugby league. So it'd just be about, upskilling them in the game, but how do you upskill someone is skilling them from an early age. So again, I hold out a lot of hope that it will still continue one day.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of, Toronto coming into that competition as well, the NRL's will be looking in a few years, 18th team. What do you think Perth's chances of becoming that 18th team would be?
I've played a couple of trial matches over in Perth and in a club game actually, and I absolutely loved it. It's brilliant. The beach is there, and the atmosphere. I know the Western Force were there for a fair while in the rugby union, and it's just I just hope how do you say this? I hope the NRL aren't shy, because they've been sort of burnt before with the Western Reds. I think we're in a lot better place than we were, 20 years ago when we tried to get the Western Reds up and running. And I think, you look at the State of Origin games over there, they've always got great crowds. Excuse me. So it's certainly worth exploring again. If we're calling ourselves the National Rugby League, I think that we need to go national. We need to put some resources, some time, some effort into building up a club. We did that in 1998 or 97, whatever it was, with the Melbourne Storm, and we stuck with it. And look where they are now. Yeah. So I know it's very AFL dominant over there and probably rugby union dominant over there as well. But I know there's some players that have come through the WA ranks who have gone on to make the NRL who, that's just some small stepping stones into what could be for kids over in WA.
Yeah, definitely. When I was talking to Kerrod yesterday, we were talking about, maybe a merger team would be the best way to start Perth off. And I mentioned the North Sydney Bears. Yeah. They want to get back in the competition, put them together with the Perth, and they sort of split their home games up between the year. I think it would be the perfect way to sort of get the Bears back in and start the Perth team up.
Yep. Start getting the buzz or the engagement from the community over there, and North Sydney. They've got a proud history here as well. So that could be something, mate. Obviously there's the logistics of it and exploring all those and how best to implement a team over there. But look, that you'd be open to anything at the moment. It's about building the brand of rugby league, building the sport, infiltrating into other not infiltrating, but getting rugby league into other states and helping it grow and prosper, evolve. That'll be the sustainability of our sport, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Absolutely. Can I jump into a couple of sort of personal questions, if you don't mind? Just a low point in your life, with mental illness being a big thing, especially with rugby league, with their mental illness week and stuff like that. Have you gone through a low point in your life, and how did you get through it?
Yeah, well, I suppose one of them was that drop ball. And look, that was on-field stuff. I've had a couple of things that aren't nice off the field, but look, I always look after my family, look after myself, go back to the drawing board, see why something happened. Get down to the hard truth. Sometimes it can be tough, it can be confronting, but if you get to the root of those problems and why it may have happened, you can put yourself on a better journey, on a better path. And a big part of that is education. It's understanding. It's breaking down the barriers or breaking down the old concept that, especially men, women as well, but especially men, it's that old, get on with it, harden up mentality, that attitude, have a cup of concrete, harden up, toughen up, princess. We've all heard that. And, but, that might have worked back in the old days, but it's not working anymore. We need to be okay being vulnerable with ourselves and asking for help, asking for support. I think, anyone that you talk to in life who, let's talk about successful people, Darren Lockyer or Jonathan Thurston or Cameron Smith, they didn't get the top by themselves. They had coaches helping them. They had people around them to be that best version of themselves. And I just talked about rugby league players there, but, it can be that successful school teacher or businessman or builder or contract, whatever it is. Just being open to discussing things with close people. You don't have to go around telling the world or putting it on social media, but people you can confide in, people you can trust, and look to get those, get the right advice off the right people and get on a better journey.
Yeah, definitely, mate. That's some absolutely great advice, mate. Next one is, just have you got any advice for kids coming up today? And it's not just in sports, life in general. A lot of kids are feeling pressures these days from lots of different things. Mental illness, again, is a big thing. But, have you got advice for these kids, coming up, whether they want to be sports people or whatever it is?
Start off by looking a man or looking a person in the eye when you're shaking their hand. I think that, look, I hate it when people say, "Oh, kids got it easy these days," because I just think that's absolute bullshit. Because when we were growing up, I know you're a bit younger than me, but when I was growing up, mate, we didn't have social media at school. If you had problems at school, you used to go home for a bit of respite. But these kids are, they're taking these little devices, little phones and computers at home, and on social media again plays a big part. It's not everything, but like I said, I've said it a couple of times. Surround yourself with good people.
Yep.
Have good role models. Look, do the right thing is it's a wide term, but when it comes to teenage, you know what's right and wrong. Or you've got a good grasp on what's right and wrong. Work hard, eat well. From a holistic approach. Exercise, sleep. Get the right amount of sleep. Look after your food, exercise. Maybe writing some things down. If something's ruminating in your head and it's causing you a bit of trouble or drama, write it down. Have a look at what, read it out. And that may help you just get that right support that you can get. But if I had any advice to the kids now is, talk, speak to people, start that conversation. It's not weak to speak because everyone's going through dramas at some time. You are not the only person, going through dramas, at that moment or at that time and place. So be open, be vulnerable with trusted adults, with trusted people. Maybe not go to young Billy and say, I'm going through a bit of a drama, and he runs around and goes and tells 5 or 6 other people. Maybe seek out that trusted adult, confide in them, and, hopefully get yourself again on that better journey.
Yeah, beautiful, mate. Beautiful. Couldn't have said that any better myself either, mate. That's great advice for the kids these days. I mean, I've got 10 kids that live in my household, so I know, I pass a lot of these messages that I get from yourself and the other guys that I've interviewed. I pass these messages on to my kids.
Yeah, again, mate, we don't know everything, because what works for me might not work for you, or might not work for Billy, John, Joe, Jeff. But it's about trying different things, because if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. So, it's about trying different things, maybe getting a little bit outside of your comfort zone to grow, to flourish, to thrive in this world, not just survive.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Absolutely. Last thing before we go, mate. I know you're a busy man.
That's right.
What are you up to these days? I know you're running the rugby sevens thing there.
So I'm now the football operations manager of the Group 7 rugby league competition here on the south coast of New South Wales. Look, this is the competition that I grew up playing in. So I'm in a perfect position now to focus on the growth and sustainability of this competition in the junior and seniors, but also the viability of each individual club. That's what excites me. That's what gets me out of bed. I give myself tasks every day. I've obviously got an outcome goal that I want to reach, but to reach that outcome goal, you've got to have daily process goals in there. I know the viewers won't be able to see, but I'm a big writer, mate. I've got to write things down. I love crossing things off. It just makes me feel like I'm achieving something, and it's called a dopamine hit. Once you achieve something, you get that little shot of adrenaline, that little feel of feel good adrenaline in you, and I want to keep doing that, man. I love this sport. The sport of rugby league doesn't owe me a thing. I owe it absolutely everything. The roof over my head, the clothes on my back, the food in my belly is all down to rugby league. It really is.
That's beautiful.
So it's given me a great platform to help the next generation. Not everyone has to be NRL players, but I want to help that next generation be a good person, be a good man, be a good woman, be a husband, father, wife, child. It fills me with joy. I love my job, man. I really do.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome to hear. Do you have any business interests or anything that you want to sort of put out there on the page, mate?
No, not really. Like I said, mate, I've just got a few things going on, mate. But I'm a pretty meat and 3 veg kind of guy, mate. I like my life simple. I love going down the beach, hanging out with the kids. I love my rugby league. I love my cricket. And I just want to make sure I instill those values onto my kids. And if anyone asks me for advice, I'm more than happy I'm more than happy to impart any kind of, I hate the word wisdom, but impart any wisdom or things that have worked for me in the past. But again, I always reiterate that, what works for me may not work for you. So it's about a little bit of trial and error. It's about getting out there and getting outside that comfort zone and growing as a person.
No, beautiful, mate. No, that's all I got for you, buddy. I really appreciate you giving me your time. Ashton Sims, thank you for joining me on NRL Fans WA.
Good man, Jamie.
Much love to your family, mate, and good luck with everything.
Good on you, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks heaps for that.
Thanks, buddy. See ya.
All right, good on you, man.